Georgia, Phyllis. All right.
Mine doesn't have the time.
Can I say good morning now? All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Marion, and I'm sitting in my living room, coming to you from the Crescent City, good old New Orleans, Louisiana. And I'm your facilitator for this morning. So with that being said, we'll go around the screen. Now, I guess the setup is different for every one of us. So I've introduced myself. So I'll start with Phyllis.
Good morning, everybody. I am Phyllis. I've been coming to Erace since 2008, and New Orleans is the former territory of the Choctaw and Chitimacha people. That's where I'm at.
Yes.
Good
I taught
morning.
that in third grade. Louise.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Marva. Louise. That's how it's set up on my screen. Louise.
Hey, hi, I'm Louise. I've been coming to the Erace meetings for on and off for many years, a couple of decades actually, and I love them, and they're very enriching and informational.
Good. Marva, we're ready for you now.
good morning. My name is Marva. I've been attending Erace post-Katrina, and I always learn something every Saturday.
Thanks, Marva. Lynn.
Good morning from New Orleans, everyone. So good to see you. I'm Lynn Frank. I've been attending since, I'm not sure if it's 2018 or 2019. Time is a blur to me these days for one reason or another.
Thanks, Lynn. Nancy.
Good morning. My name's Nancy Moore. I've been attending Erace since June of 2007.
Great. Thanks, Nancy. Bill. You're muted, Bill. Okay.
She just got her link didn't work, but she's going to come sit next to me. Here she is.
Morning, everybody. My
So,
machine is not working.
Morning.
I'm Bill Ives, and I've been coming to Erace for probably 4 years now, and we are in Waterville Valley, New Hampshire on a home exchange in the middle of the woods in a gentle rain.
Sounds romantic. Francie.
Hi, I'm Francie. I'm in Austin. I'm here because of my daughter, Michelle, who introduced me last fall to this nice group, and that's through Louise. So we have a connection here in Austin. And
Thanks, Francie.
I've enjoyed attending. Thank you.
All right. Beatrice.
Hi, good morning. I'm here in East Point, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta. And I started coming to Erace when I moved back from Washington back home to New Orleans. So probably I've been going to Erace since it started in '93, and then moving to Atlanta, my husband and I started an Erace Atlanta group. So I'm glad we're on recess. All of our group, we're reading, the sum of us for our summer reading. So I'm glad to be able to join you all today.
Thanks, Beatrice. Leonetta.
Good morning. My name is Lanetta. I've been part of Erace since I did my internship at Southern. Hi, Beatrice. I miss you.
All right, now the screen jumped. Let's see. Rebecca.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here this morning. I'm near Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm friends with Cindy and Bill. That's how I got here, and it's really very, very interesting. I'm interested too to hear what people say about this article. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Rebecca. Michelle?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Michelle, and as my mom has already introduced me, and I'm in Austin, and I enjoy coming to this group since last summer when Louise introduced me. So thank you for having me, and I look forward to today's discussion.
All right, great, Michelle. Kate?
Hi, I'm Kate. This is my first year with Erace, and I look forward to the discussion today. Thank you.
All right, Pedro?
Hey, good morning. Hey, I tried to read the article, but I have a deal with it says my New York Times subscription. I have to pay for it. They won't let me read the article, so I wanted to let folks know that I wasn't able to read the article. But I've been attending Erace since last summer, about the same time I think that Michelle started, thanks to our friend Louise. So thank you all for having me, and look forward to hearing the reflections today.
All right, Pedro, thank you. Greer?
My name is Greer. I've been attending Erace since post-Katrina. And Pedro, just for heads up, just type the title in Google and you'll find different sites that have the article. So you don't have to go through the New York Times.
Thank you for that. I will do that. I'll do it right now.
All right, Amal?
Good morning, I'm Amal. Been coming to Erace for 20 plus years and still come. Still learning, still growing.
Great. Glenn? Are you there, Glenn? Hello? Glenn? All right, well, maybe he's having some technical difficulty. I don't know what else we could do. But anyway, while he's adjusting, I'll read our mission statement. The Erace organization was started in June of 1993. And our mission statement reads, we seek ways through person-to-person communication to show that we are committed to treating persons of all colors with love and respect. And we're happy that you are joining us this morning. Glenn, can you hear us? Okay, we'll proceed. So that we'll have a amicable and worthy discussion. We have these very simple, I think, rules to follow. We raise one finger and we're going to wiggle it when we raise our finger to speak, because your finger may blend into the background. I have neutral tones. And even though I have the pigment, if I raise my finger, unless I turn it this way, you can't see it. Okay. So we raise one finger to speak, and the facilitator will recognize you and put your name on the list. If we want to ask a facilitating question, followed by someone's comment, we raise two fingers and you'll be recognized. You can ask your facilitated question immediately during the person's conversation. We ask questions of the person who has made a comment, and the word should begin, the question should begin with do you, or what, why, who, were, where. We don't want to make a statement. If you really have a question, make sure it's in a question format. You speak for 2 minutes when it's your turn to speak. If you wish to make another comment, or you want to get back on the list, if you run out of time, You say, I would like to be on the list again. We don't argue back and forth. We don't interrupt with someone else. If there's some confusion about another speaker's comment, that's why we have the clarifying question. You raise your two fingers, but we don't argue back and forth if you want the clarification of what someone had said. So with that being said, did I cover everything? Did we understand the rules? One finger, two fingers, okay. I chose this topic because I thought that as long as young children don't understand that they are children and that you have an adult who might be dumping some kind of information on them that's going to make them negative or biased. Little children can see that they look different from other people, and they might make comments about someone's physical characteristics, but it's left up to us adults to try to have our children grow up to understand that, yes, people are going to look different, but we're not supposed to take that in a negative way. And they have to learn, they have to take these cues from adults to understand that they have to respect other people, other children that don't have the same physical characteristics as they do. And they have to understand that there is human diversity, and you don't have to use the word diversity with the children, just have them understand that that's a child just like they are, but people look different sometimes, and that's okay. And you have to understand to respect them. So this is why I chose this article, because I think our children really need to be talked to in a rational way and accept that everybody on earth is a member of the human race. If you're a human being, you're a member of the human race. So with that being said, who would like to be first to start us off? Don't be shy. Marva? Anyone else? Beatrice and Lynn. Did I miss anyone else?
That was Cindy and not me.
Where is Cindy? My screen keeps jumping, the pictures. Oh, so it was Cindy? All right. Sorry about that.
Did you get
Okay.
Did you get Leonetta?
Where is Leonetta?
Leonetta, you got to move your finger.
Okay, Leonetta, you jumped from the bottom to the top of the screen. Okay. Oh, this is wonderful. We have 5 people ready to go. All right, Marva's going to start us off.
I think it was an interesting article. I would like to say, if I was a kindergarten teacher, the image of the little people, all colors, circling the image of the globe, I would put it in story form. You all know the image I'm talking about, the image of the earth. And the little children are circling it, holding hands in their native costume.
Mm-hmm.
I would start out with everybody's different, everybody's human, and I would tell them it's a blessing to have a friend in a friendship with people that's different from you. And I would say kindness. If you follow the rules of kindness, you will never go wrong. Okay.
Thank you, Marva. Phyllis, do you have the bell or the?
No, do you need me to keep the time?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Because I put the phone away on the arm of the sofa, and I'd have to reach across the computer to get it. I'd appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you, Marva. Beatrice.
I I think that it is so unfortunate that the father did not feel compelled to say something or do something. I think that holding in feelings about such important issues is the stuff of insanity and anxiety and high blood pressure, and trying to be sure that you act in a way that makes European Americans or white people feel comfortable is an unfortunate standard that we tend to live by, and it's not good. I think the fact that his mom even didn't say to him when he stopped being able to go over to the other child's house. I think that truth, as soon as truth is known and shared at the level that whoever the person is, a kindergartner, whoever, when that truth is shared, there's value in that. And because if this little girl thinks that that is okay, even for a minute, even though the little boy didn't bother, he went on, laughed about it, went on. The lessons cannot begin too soon. That's the point I make. The lessons in how to respect people of different races and how to begin to develop anti-racist in people cannot start too soon, because the other lessons are being taught every day. The media upholds images of one group being better than another, or one group only being able to do certain things, sports or what. So the lessons of growth and health and good ways of looking at differences as being good, not something to be shunned away. I think they can't begin too soon. So I'm sorry. And I understand the father's, he rationalized it. He thought about it. If I say this, if I'm angry, what will they say about the angry father? Will the child stop being invited to park? I understand, but I think we overthink stuff. And sometimes it would have been better for his mental health if he had just gone over there and said, little girl, don't tell my child that, in a way, don't say, where'd you learn that? And then talk to the mama, get the mama. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Beatrice. Cindy? Unmute.
Thank you. I joined Bill because my computer is not working. It's not showing the picture. So we are paired today.
And we just moved so I could plug my computer back in.
Anyway, the article is special relevance to me because I taught for 38 years, little ones from 3-year-olds to got all the way to 6-year-olds in almost 40 years. One of the first tasks for me was to deal with the subject of race or differences, because I was in a very mixed school in a mixed city. It was a wonderful school because of the mixture and because the parents sought the mixture. So it was a very positive place, but always somebody notices something. A 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 3-year-old will make a comment about another child. Generally it's positive, it's just sort of noticing. But we did a whole group. I would bring the group together, 26 little ones, and put it on the table, basically. Start out with everybody's hands in the middle and make a big circle of hands in the middle of a group of children. We talked about all the colors. First, the sort of the language of it. We named all the colors. There's so many shades. It was a wonderful activity. And I very definitely just asked, what do you know about that? And some of them knew, well, we're born that way. Yeah, we are. And why was the biggest question asked? Why are we different colors? Well, nobody quite knows why that I understand. You could talk about geography and history and all that, but for 5-year-olds, why are we different colors? The answer is, I don't know, but isn't it beautiful? And to make it a topic that is accessible, able to be talked about, and valued. I think those are the 3 points. A number of parents thanked me for dealing with it early, because this is a school with 2 very strong divisions, black and white, but also every other color. I mean, Asians and Indians, and I probably taught 20 different nationalities, which was wonderful, but it was easier to explain the colors than the history of the nationalities. With 4-year-olds, you don't go into that as much, at least I didn't. So it needs to be acknowledged and valued from the earliest days. And to the parents that are uncomfortable, they can go somewhere else, as far as I'm concerned. I did talk about my handling of it with the parents at a meeting in the first month of school. Thank you.
Can y'all hear the bell going off?
No.
No,
Oh, how weird. Okay.
I was gonna say something. I'm glad you asked. Thank you,
I
Cindy.
can hear it, but it's very, very faint.
Okay. I was holding it right up by my microphone. Okay.
I couldn't hear it at all. Okay, I'm glad you said something.
Me too.
Leonetta is next, and after that, the list is open. So
Greer has had her name up, her hand up. She puts it up in the corner of her. You can just.
Okay, and I'm trying to scan the screen, and I'm not doing a
Bill.
good job.
Bill has a finger up.
All right, I'm not doing a good job of scanning.
Yeah,
I have
that's-
Marva and Bill following Leonetta. Did I miss someone? Greer. Say something, Greer, because
I'm here.
Greer, can you?
I can't see.
Hold on, Greer. Can you put the hand up so she can see what to look for?
There you go, right there.
Oh, there it is. Okay, now I
That's what
see
you
it.
gotta
And your
look
box lit up.
Okay.
All right. I have on glasses and I still can't see. And these are new glasses, relatively new. So I have Leonetta, followed by Marva, then Bill, then Greer. So Leonetta and
Yes,
Phyllis.
I just want to, I was not able to open the article, and so I haven't read it, but I just want to talk about children, young children. They're sponges, and they absorb what they're around. And if the house is racist, they're going to be racist. If the house is open and loving, that's what the children are going to be. And children that young will repeat what they hear in the house, regardless of what it is. So when you're around young kids, 3 and 4-year-olds, watch what you say, because they will repeat it and it will embarrass you.
Thank you, Leonetta. Marva? Pedro, did you raise your finger? I'm sorry. Francis, did you raise your finger? Okay, I see Rebecca.
Phyllis, you on the list?
Yes, Phyllis is on the list. Bill, Marva, it's your turn to speak.
Okay. When I was in school, it's been at least 75 years. They had something called Parents Teachers Association, and I think that need to be addressed in the Parents Teachers Association. And the teaching of your child acceptance of other races. And it should start at the home first. But the positive things are not started at the home. This little girl had no idea what she was saying. So that obviously came from her house, both parents or one parent. I would have approached the parent if they were there and her mother was there. And a Black man approaching a little white girl could have agitated a situation. And I would have approached the parent because the little girl was completely innocent. She didn't know what she was saying. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Marva. Bill.
I have two questions and then I have a response. The author at one point said, keep it 100, keep it,
Nancy.
and I'm not sure what that expression means. I'd like to know if anyone knows that. And also, this I've heard a lot, but I don't know for sure. Stay woke. And anyway, if someone could in a subsequent.
I can answer that question for you.
Oh, okay. That'd be great.
To keep it 100.
Amal, you have to get
Just
on
a
the
moment.
list.
Okay,
Hold
I
on,
thought he was
Amal.
asking the question. That's all.
He is, but you have to answer it when you get on the list. Because he's
I'll
not
put you on the
asking a
list,
clarifying
Amal.
question of somebody.
Amal, I will definitely appreciate your answer. But when I first read this article, I thought I read it to the end. And when I reread it this morning, I realized I missed the last 2/3 that were very impactful. And I think he was talking about his own personal plan, but this is a plan for white people too. If a white person hears that, they should also speak up. It shouldn't be
Absolutely.
left to an African American to comment on it. And I always remember John McCain was someone I totally opposed on many levels. But I remember when he was campaigning for president and a woman said that Obama was Muslim, which probably was a dog whistle as well. He interrupted her and said, "No, he's not a Muslim." I'm sort of remembering. I may remember not all the details. He's not a Muslim. He's a good man. Although being a Muslim is also a good man. So that should not be considered derogatory. I imagine the woman was thinking of it in a derogatory way. So I might have amended that to say something to the effect that Muslim men are good men too. But anyway, that was a model.
Can y'all hear it now?
Yeah, that was a model for what white people should say and in those situations. And
Your time's up.
yeah.
All right, Greg. Thank you, Bill. Greer.
Well, I think what the gentleman did, I think he did it more for safety than anything, because had he approached that white woman, and I know if anybody's on social media of any type or watches the news, that Black men are seen as threats. Black people are seen as threats. Our skin color is a crime. Had he approached that woman, it could have turned out so bad. There was just a woman who was in a store that the video's been all over, where she was basically attacking a woman, screaming and hollering, pointing at her. It was a Black woman. So the woman filmed her to protect herself. She's on the floor crying, the white woman. She's pointing at the lady. She ran up on her and hit her phone. Yet all the white people in the store ran towards the white woman who was having a so-called meltdown. When the police came, they talked to the white woman. But this Black woman was being attacked by her. We know through the history of just being in America, the accusation could cause death of anything when it comes against anybody white. Philando Castile got shot and killed. He let the cop know that he had a gun. He didn't reach for it. It was his right to have a gun. That gun was registered. It's not just about how you feel and your ability to decompress or to pass on a message. You can't tell another message if you don't live the next day to tell it. And that's how we're living today. And that's real. That's it.
Thank you, Greer. So that you won't think I've forgotten, Greer just spoke. Phyllis is next, then Rebecca, Nancy, Amal, and then Bill. So Phyllis is up next.
Okay, so yeah, I agree. I think, well, since this was a play date for a school, I think that the father could have requested that the school have a meeting between him and the other parent or parents, and his wife and the other parent or parents. A similar, I don't remember. So a white couple I know, they used to live here in New Orleans. One of their kids, a little bit older than these kids in the story, one of their daughters said something to a Black child, and they're not raising her to be racist at all. And they were mortified. And she, so they had a meeting, the both sets of parents. I don't know if the kids were ever involved other than the parents speaking to them separately. But, you know, that is one way that maybe he could have approached it. I agree he should not have talked to the kid, just gone up to the kid at the playground. And talking to the mom could have been, it could have been a really dicey situation, I think, you know, and it's hard. It's hard to know what to do when you have to confront somebody that you don't have a relationship with, and you don't know how they're going to react. I think since it was a school sort of activity, that he might have been able to do that, but he also has to risk his kid being ostracized from play groups too. So I'm glad I don't have kids. That's all for now.
Thank you, Phyllis. Beatrice, did you raise your hand? I can't hear you. I saw your arm going up several times.
She's shaking her finger, yes.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure.
I was
saw
not,
your arm
I
go
am
up.
now.
All right, Pedro, your arm went up also. Do you want to be on the list? Pedro? Pedro?
Yeah, actually, I accidentally put my hand, but yeah, please put me on the list. Thank you.
All right. Okay,
And
Rebecca.
Glenn and Greer.
Thank you. I think what Cindy said is really important. I mean, I realize this incident had already happened, but I think it would be good if that teacher then brought the children together in group discussion and discussed people from different parts of the world, people with different skin colors. And also in the younger grades, I believe they read books aloud. You could read a book aloud with pictures of children playing together who come from different countries, and perhaps, you know, play together so they're actually touching each other. So they see that it's, you know, you can do that. You can touch each other and that it's all right if you're a different color. So I think perhaps you should assume that there's going to be difficulty when children first meet people of another color, whether it's people of color meeting white people or white people meeting people of color. As children, I mean, at first it's startling, and perhaps it does need to be explained. And perhaps that would help a whole lot if you had that attitude when you started out in preschool or kindergarten, and you did a little bit as Cindy did to explain it. Thank you.
All right, Rebecca, thank you. Nancy?
Yes, I have two things that I wanted to address. One, Marva said the little girl didn't know what she was saying. I want to say I had to integrate a school when I was in kindergarten with 5-year-olds, and they know what they're doing. Okay, they know that somebody is different. They know how to target someone. And whether or not this little girl heard it from her parents. She heard it somewhere. She heard it on television. She heard it somewhere. And she knew to target that little boy. He was the only one. So to say that 5-year-olds are completely innocent, they may not know the extent and the damage of their words and their actions, but they do know how to use words and how to do actions to hurt people. They do know that. Also, when we lived in Virginia Beach, I'm not sure, we left there when my kids were 14 and 18. And so this is like well before that. So say that maybe they're like 6 and 10 or 7 and 11 or something when this happens. I remember they were much younger. We were taking a walk through the neighborhood and we decided to go, well, it was still kind of in our neighborhood, but like a little further out from where we normally would go walking as a family. And we went past this house and there was a little boy outside and he called us the N-word. And so I immediately stopped and went and knocked on the door and talked to the mother. And she's like, oh my God, I don't know are you sure he said that? Is that what you heard? Well, obviously he knew he'd done something wrong because he immediately ran in the house and ran upstairs. Okay, so unlike the parent in this article, I didn't have any relationship with them. So I really did not have anything to lose by confronting the parent. So I can understand the parent's apprehension about wanting to confront the parent. He probably should have done something, but his concerns about the child being ostracized are real. Okay, these people are mean. All right, but in this instance, I didn't have any reason I had no relationship with this woman, so I didn't have to fear a backlash. I'll just put it like that.
All right, thank you, Nancy. Phyllis was giving us the timeout signal. All right, Amal.
Yeah, this is actually a real good article. The father in this situation, to me, played not only himself, but he played his son. He thought about everything that white folks would have thought about him. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, we're so eager to be around white folks that we will sacrifice our own mental sanity to the point to where we would look at everything that could go wrong for us in the situation, rather than just get from around that situation. I can't believe that he would sacrifice his own mental sanity that way, to the point to where he questioned himself. No, you're the victim, bruh. Why is you questioning yourself? So I liked his son's reaction though. He just stepped back and looked and kept it moving, like, please. You know, so that to me is a problem for Black people, that we're so eager to be around white folks that we will change our behavior to make them feel comfortable, even in the midst of them being mean to us. So, you know, the father needs to check himself. The son's reaction was the way I would react. I just ignore it and keep it moving, and just not play with that little girl no more.
Thank you, Amal. Our list is getting quite long. I'm glad. Of course, Bill, Beatrice, Pedro, Glenn, Greer, Phyllis, and Annette. So, Bill, you're next.
Well, I didn't answer Bill's question though.
Bill, ask Amal your question.
Yeah, I remember it. I remember the question. The question was when the father said keep it 100 in the article. That's basically, he's basically meant be 100%. Keep it honest. Tell the truth. That's all it means. It's just a street way of saying be honest or tell the truth.
Stay alert, where?
Thank you. The Greer talked about the safety issues of the Black father addressing it directly. And I think that's all the more reason that white people should address those issues.
Absolutely.
It should not be left up to Black people to address racism. But I would suggest to make this a teaching moment for the father to approach the teacher and describe what happened without necessarily saying names, and ask the teacher to relate back to the students and parents what happened and have them discuss it without mentioning who said it. So it's not making someone defensive, but it is bringing the issue out in the open about how this behavior is unacceptable and why it's unacceptable. So it was just another way of dealing with it that might make it a constructive, teachable moment. But reading that article, it made me more resolved to address racial issues when they appear. Thank you. Great article.
Question from Nancy.
Nancy has a question.
Nancy has a clarifying question. Did you finish your remarks, Bill?
Yes.
Okay, Nancy has a clarifying question. Unmute, Nancy.
Unmute, Nancy.
My question to Bill is, in the second paragraph,
I'll print it.
was this play date initiated by a school or initiated by one of the mothers of the children that went to the school?
By the parent.
It was, yeah, I don't think it was initiated by the school. And I'm trying to make a point. Well,
It says that I was watching my 5-year-old playing with friends from daycare. The kids have started kindergarten and are now split up along 4 schools. So it does.
It says some industrious mom had the idea to get them together again.
So maybe
that's in the second paragraph.
Maybe addressing the mom rather than a teacher, because I'd forgotten that they were from 4 different schools. But again, not naming names, just say, you know, this happened on the playground. What do you think about it? And should we have a discussion about it?
I think it'd be helpful.
Thanks for pointing on it, Nancy. Again, great article.
All right, Bill. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy.
I have a
Bill.
clarifying question for Bill.
Yeah.
Okay. Greer.
Why not name names?
Well, the reason why is to take it away, is just take it away from addressing a particular person. They know who they are.
And the other kids do too.
And try to make it a teachable moment rather than an accusation against someone who would then become defensive, like the mother that Nancy spoke to. And I'm not saying, Nancy did exactly what I would do in that situation. But if you could elevate it up to a concept, a discussion about race, you might reach people who need to hear that conversation better. That's all. And maybe in the context of the conversation, you could mention who the perpetrator was, but that was why I made the suggestion. Did I answer your question, Greer?
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Beatrice, did you speak? I don't have a check mark next to your name.
No, I have
Following
not.
Bill.
Oh, aye. Okay, I'm ready.
All right,
There are so many levels of complexity that we are having to put upon this situation where a child says something unpleasant to a child, racist to a child. And some of them are for the purpose of protecting somebody from something. But nobody has protected this. This African American man, this father, did not protect himself from the pain he felt hearing that his child spoken to in that way. I think going to the parent, my initial comments may have indicated that I would have spoken to the child. I would certainly believe that he should not have left that situation without doing something. Going to the parent and saying, this is what I've heard your child say to my son. It doesn't seem to bother my son now. However he phrased it. And it is unfortunate. And the person that said that our color is like, say your ammunition is your race and your weapon is your gender if you're male, even though you're supposed to be unarmed. So I understand that he would have been seen as an angry Black father. It's according to how he approached it. But he himself, when in the rest of the article, when he says, here's how I could have handled the incident at the playground. And he says things like, children being groomed to be racist need to learn that acting on their racism has consequences. Second, all white children in earshot also need to see that resistance had to be taught by standing silently. The endorsement, if nobody else said anything, and he said some other things. I just think that we just sometimes have to act. I was standing on the corner holding a sign all by myself about 7 years ago, Black Lives Matter. And a young white guy came to me and called me a racist bee. And I found myself chasing, I said, come back here and say that. Come back here and say that. And I went behind him, and the angel that watches over old 70-year-old people said, girl, what are you doing? What are you going to do if you catch him? But I think, I just feel very strongly, and I'm educated all my life, taught in Montgomery County Public Schools where my classroom looked like the United Nations. So, I mean, I understand what people are saying about how we need to educate and all, but I think sometimes we just are too soft for people when we need to really be strong. And if it means you get knocked down, then the hell you get knocked down. Go tell the parent. If she got upset, then she got upset. But you upset my 5-year-old child, or you upset me. My child doesn't seem to be bothered. So my point is that I think even he feels that he should have done something, this parent. Yeah, I'm done.
thank you, Beatrice. And I'm glad you went after him. Pedro.
Hey, sorry about that. Sorry about the delay. Beatrice, thank you for your comments. I'm still kind of reflecting on that. I just wanted to say, Nelson Mandela said that racism is a learned behavior. I think we all kind of know that. But it's also kind of like a disease, a treatable and reversible disease. And as I was reading the article and listening to the comments, there are no options that are absent of great risk for this guy. And I think that really just speaks to the nature of systemic racism is alive and well and just inextricably kind of woven into our culture. So what occurred to me is, I know it would be easy for me to say, but I agree with Beatrice. I think something needs to be said. I was involved and I learned mediation skills many, many years ago. And I think, it's a playground for kids, but, the parents of those kids is a playground for the parents, and getting some type of going to a school, I think is a good idea, and getting a mediation. And in a mediation, people aren't personally attacked, but the ideas and the damage of those ideas that are presented can be addressed, I think, in a way that provides safety for all that is involved. But I'm not here to try to solve that problem, but I just think that that to leave it unaddressed is that kind of silences betrayal. You know, it encourages rather than
I hear you, Louise.
Anyhow, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Beatrice, I had to do that too. I had to go to one of our schools, prestigious Catholic schools, because the high school junior called me an NB word too. And he came over to the school to apologize. I don't know what it is, but some of these young white kids, they sure do like to use that NB word. They really need a lesson. And don't call a black woman that, because you're going to come after. We're going to come after you. I don't like that. Don't call me that word. Thank you, Pedro. No, Pedro. Oh, all right, Glenn.
And naturally, I don't think that a child's skin color, different skin color, when children meet and they see they got different skin color, it doesn't affect them. Doesn't affect them anyway. You put them all in kindergarten, they all gonna start playing together. The big effect is what they get from the parents. And you know, even during slavery time, the slave master children would play with the little small slave child. But at some point, the parent gonna tell them you can't play with them anymore because you got to take on the role of the master. You got to beat them sometimes. So it's not that they're naturally going to dislike a person because they have different skin color, because you can be a white family and you have different skin colors within your family. And what I told my children is that we all come from Adam. That's the father of the human race. And just like we all are different, maybe different than what Adam looked like, all of us may be different than what Adam looked like. The same thing is with your children. All of them are not going to look identical. They're all from the same parent, but they're all not going to look identical. They're going to look different. And my grandchildren don't look nothing like me. So there's going to be variations in the human race. So that's not something that will keep people apart. It's just racial teachings that keep people apart. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Glenn. Greer.
Oh, I just froze up a minute. I'm here. My thing is, every fight is not a fight. See, with this right here, to me, this little girl isn't learning this from Nickelodeon. She isn't learning it from Sesame Street. She isn't learning it from the Disney Channel. Where she's learning it is from home. At the end of the day, you could have had this conversation with this woman. You could have had a conversation with the husband. But remember, they're the ones that's teaching her this. So my question is, what are you going to change about that? Because if they're teaching her this, then they're living this. She didn't make that up in her mind. She heard them talking and having conversations and passed it on to her. And we see today how even when stuff is video that's done wrong, we have to think about when we call the police to get help, whether they're going to kill a person or not. It goes so much deeper than this conversation right here about a child at a playground. This man, which should have never had to happen, he should have never had to go through multiple steps and consequences. But you know why he had to do that? Because he's a Black man in America. And he knows what's happened to Black men in America. And he knows what's happening now to Black men and Black people in America. It should have been something simplistic. But if we lived in a world where people could just talk and handle things, but that's not the world we live in. There just was a man, a young man. This woman, she was white, but she was Hispanic. She followed this man into the store, said he stole her child's iPhone. I'm gonna wrap it up quick. The child was like, I don't have my iPhone. He came back from the car with the iPhone. She had called the manager, told them to call the police. Then when the kid showed up, guess what she said? F you. He was like, I didn't steal your child's iPhone. She couldn't even apologize. So sometimes it's not even worth wasting your time trying to change a person's thought process when you already know what it is. That's it.
It's not that she couldn't, she wouldn't. Okay, we have Phyllis, Nancy, Bill, and Louise. Did I miss anyone? I'm scanning the screen. Nancy, did you raise your hand? I saw you do
She's
this.
on the list already. You just read her name.
Okay, Phyllis. Oh yeah, Nancy, you follow Phyllis, that's right.
So is the list closed after whoever, because it's 11?
Okay, the last person on the list is Louise. So Phyllis, Nancy, Bill, Louise.
So I think in terms of this child and the parents of the little white girl, I think some accountability, you know, this person made the choice he made and it's over. So, but I think it's unclear to me if the little white girl and his son are at separate kindergartens now. So if they are still at the same school, you could approach the teacher and name names, and then the teacher could have a class meeting and talk about it in a way that doesn't, you know, call out a name. But I think the teacher needs to know. I think, and the parents need to be brought in because they need to know, you know, even if they are teaching her this, that it's not cool, it's not all right, and it's not going to be tolerated in the school. I want to go back to Greer brought up the white lady at the Victoria's Secret. Not only was she attacking a Black woman, but it was a Muslim Black woman. One of the videos you can see, she a woman in a hijab walks past her and she greets her in Arabic. And the woman's YouTube is something like African Muslima or something. So, you know, I'm not excusing this white woman, because if you can't act better in public, you shouldn't be allowed out alone in public if you're going to act like that. It was like a toddler throwing a tantrum on the floor. I was gobsmacked. So yeah, it's constantly disturbing how white people can act in public and get away with things, and Black people have to fear for their lives. And you know, I maybe, I don't know, I just am not a person who thinks it's okay to just sort of deal with things in a passive aggressive kind of way, because, or subtle, let me say subtle way, because I think not everyone is smart enough to get subtlety. You have to be really frank and direct. So I'm done.
Thank you, Phyllis. Nancy?
I was going to address, Amal said earlier, why do we always feel that we as Black people have to make white people feel comfortable and safe around us? And Phyllis just reinforced that. It says on the second page, it says to support a family is why. Okay. How many times have we overlooked a microaggression and just blew it off like it's not worth it. You're clearly wrong, but it's not worth it. I don't need to, I mean, all kinds of things can happen if you confront a person sometimes about something they did or said. And sometimes it's just not worth it to do it, okay, because of the repercussions afterwards. And so you just let it go, because I don't need this hassle. I got enough things to worry about. I'm trying to work. I mean, you got enough problems at the job as it is. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. So you let it go. You got to weigh your options here as to, is it worth it or not, and what the possible consequences could be of your actions. And you got to do this in a split second. You know, I always say it's like, you know, playing what is that, laser tag or something. You don't know where it's coming from, when, how, what, but you got to be ready to deal with it like that. And to what Phyllis said, well, I just don't believe in being passive aggressive or whatever. Well, that's your privilege. You can be aggressive. You can say what's on your mind and people will respect it, and there will be no repercussions of it because of it. But as Black people, we can't always do that, depending on the circumstances, where we are and who it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Bill, and then Louise, then we can do the wrap up.
Okay.
Bill?
Nancy, thanks for saying what you just said. And I do think in this case, something needed to happen for the sake of the father who wrote this piece, because it obviously troubled him that he didn't do anything. And I think back to situations, not the same as this, but when I realized I should have said something and I didn't, not necessarily about race, just about anything. And it haunts me for days. Why didn't I say that? Two quick points. I think people have talked about how racism is learned. I remember in New Orleans in the 50s, racist segregated New Orleans. I had a group of friends, white kids, and there were Black kids in our neighborhood too. And we played together. And I'm sure those white kids were hearing all kinds of nasty things at home. And I have no idea what the Black kids thought about it, but we played together in a friendly way. And I remember going to Mexico and encountering kids my age that were children of the people we were visiting. And they didn't speak English, I didn't speak Spanish, but we played together very resourcefully. And finally, people talk about, we were talking about whatever. I'm reminded, it's my understanding that Homo sapiens started in Africa. So that Adam was probably Black, because the first Homo sapiens were Africans with dark skin. So we're all descended from Africa and Africans. And that's a point that should be made more often. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And Louise is.
Glenn has a clarifying.
Oh, Glenn, I didn't see it. You're at the bottom of the screen, kiddo.
All right. Bill, would you agree that it'd be too complicated to answer this question. I'm gonna have to pass on it.
Okay. I'm happy to answer the question anytime.
All right.
All right, Louise.
So I totally agree that the guy had a dilemma on his hands. The father had a dilemma as to, you know, go straight and do something about it. But I also think and agree with those who have said that he should have said and done something there and then as a teachable moment, not only to the kids, but to the parent. for the kid to see the mother being not really reprimanded, but being told that this is not okay. I think that would have been a very good moment for the kids around and the other parents around to see that. You know, that's and the fact that he was sitting on the bench talking to the other white lady mother and she didn't do anything, that's also unforgivable. You know, that someone else should have stood up for this situation. It shouldn't have to be all in his hands. But a teachable moment for kids. And as a teacher, I know, and anyone knows, you've got to do it right there and then. You can't go back. It's like, oh, by the way, yesterday, remember that? You got to do it there and then. It's got to be, you know, strike while the iron is hot, as they say. And talking of teachers, that lady that did this ridiculous collapsing and whatever that we were talking about, the lady that fell down and did, you know, had a fit, whatever. She was a teacher, for God's sakes. And so that leads me to say, you never know who's teaching your kids. So yeah, there are some great teachers out there. And as a TA, I go into different rooms and I see different teachers, and some are amazing and they're doing the right thing and they're saying the right things and they're, you know, using these teachable moments. But God forbid, you've got that lady who is obviously mentally unstable in charge of kids, you know, so you just never know who you got teaching your kids. So it needs to be some kind of, I don't know, you need to vet teachers a little bit more, perhaps. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you, Louise. According to my list, there were 3 participants in our Zoom discussion this morning who did not speak. I have 3. So if I left anybody's name off, please let me know. I have Lynn, Michelle, and Francis. Those were our 3 participants who did not get they didn't speak. So at this time, Lynn, would you like to add your comments to our discussion?
I'm not sure I have anything valuable to add. I do remember a time when I was 5 years old and living in Alaska when I did something bad and I was reprimanded and I cried my eyes out, and I remember it to these days. Some people didn't have refrigerators always, and they kept things on the front porch to stay cool. And this woman had a lot of ketchup bottles on the front porch, and kids were using them as bombs and breaking them. And I just followed suit. And I'm the only one who got caught. And she gave me a talking to nicely, but it sure taught me a lesson. And a little child can learn a lesson for a lifetime. I wonder if the man's wife could have helped him approach the family and said, we need to help your daughter understand how to behave with little classmates of different colors. The other thing that happens, and like Bill, many times I'm in a situation and I don't know what to say, and I later say to myself, oh my God, you should have said so-and-so. So you rehearse and you practice and you're ready for the next time. And I guess this guy will do that. But these comments that people have made and the article itself have shown me how fraught the situation is if you are a Black person. You have so many layers that you have to think about at the same time. And I'm hoping that with comments and training, our world gets better and better slowly. Thank you for the article.
Thank you, Lynn. Michelle, would you share your thoughts with us, please?
Yeah, I had 2 things pop up for me as I was listening to everybody's comments. And one that I kept going back to was that I kept thinking about what I would have done in the situation if I had been the white mother who he had confided to about what happened. And if this had been me when my oldest child, for example, or my youngest child, for example, was 5 and this had happened, that would have been about 2009. I would have been appalled, by the statement, I know, I would have thought, oh my God, and I would have wanted to know if he hadn't named the person, like, who was it that said that, whose child. But I would not have had the wherewithal to confront this other mother. I know that in my heart, because I'm not a confrontational person. And I know that her reaction would have been to defend herself and her child. And I would have not been able to helpfully try and persuade her otherwise. I mean, as a white person to a white person, because that's what we should do now. I mean, we white people need to confront other white people for their racism. And 2009, I didn't have the wherewithal, certainly, that I have today. And even today, I question how strong I could be in the face of something like that, as blatant as that, because I would know in my heart that that mother probably was really racist and was not going to change her mind by what I said. And I know I would have taken away from that situation that I want to know who this person is, and I want to know who her child is, and I want to have nothing to do with her ever again. I would do if she was in the kindergarten class with my child, I would, do all I could to not have anything to do with her, because I would know that was her mindset, and I would not want my child to be around that, except when she had to be. But I would hope that maybe today, I every day I have to confront my own bias and check myself because of, confrontations and things like that. And, the whole situation that we've heard time and time again about white women and Black men, and checking yourself when you're walking down the street and not assuming things of people. I mean, that's a constant battle. I think white people, especially white women who have been, swimming in this racial bias their whole lives, have to confront now. And I'm fully aware of that now. Every time I have a confrontation, and not a confrontation, just an interaction, it's like I check my bias in my head, like, okay, let's start this from a place of, neutrality here, and think about what it is you think, and fighting the images and the things that you've learned in your head. And secondly, this just brings up the whole troubling issue about these laws that are being passed in these states about not teaching children race in the classroom. And that is just horrible, because, teachers are going to be, like Cindy, if it had been her in her classroom, I as a teacher, I now would be like, is some kid going to go back home and tell his mom and dad like what he's been learning or she's been learning in the classroom? And the racist in them is going to go back and say, no, 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 you can't do that, and get that poor teacher in trouble. It's just horrible, because that's exactly where these kids should be exposed to all this, the books and the teachers teaching the lessons like that. And now I'm just like, I'm in fear for all the teachers that may want to continue to do this in spite of these stupid laws and get in trouble for doing that. I mean, it's just, anyway, thank you. It's been a nice conversation. I've enjoyed listening.
Thank you, Michelle. Francis?
Well, it is a very provocative topic. Thank you, Marva. I was moved by Nancy's comments about how mentally agile people of color have to be in such situations. I'm sorry that it had to, that all my friends have had to have all this extra maneuvering to navigate the world. It's pitiful. I don't really have much else to say. I didn't realize that Black people, one of the sentences in the article, that Black people wanted to be around people so much to be so careful. I don't know why you want to be around us. Golly. Anyway, very good article, very good discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Francis, for your final comments. Let's see, what time is it? It's 11:18. I don't know if we'd have time. Is there anyone who wants to say,
You need
make
to
any
do
final?
you need to do the 1 minute go around for everybody.
Okay, we'll do the 1 minute go around.
For everybody,
So
but
everybody,
the 3 people.
If there's anyone, I'll start with you, Phyllis.
Oh,
So that's the only way I can keep in order. You're at the top of the screen.
Well, yeah, Nancy, you're right. I can probably get away with confronting people in a way that you cannot. And I too was disappointed by the white dad that he asked who the kid's mom was, that he didn't, that he, you know, he's like, oh, that's not her personality. First of all, racism, being a racist isn't a personality trait. So that was a weird statement to me. But I was disappointed that dad didn't try to help or ask if there was anything he could do to help. So, you know, that would be one thing that a white person could do if the person wants you to. Like, don't necessarily assume they want you to charge over to the white mom and rile stuff up. So, yeah, very good article, good topic, good discussion, and I look forward to hearing everybody else's closing statements. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go according to where my screen is set up. So Lynn, you have a minute?
She already went.
Oh, she already went, that's right. Nancy?
No,
Thank you,
it's a
Phyllis,
very-
because I can't
it-
remember. I'm sorry,
It's a
Nancy.
very good article. It brought up a lot of memories. Thank you very much.
All right, Bill? Thank you, Nancy.
Bill, you're muted.
Okay. Louise, thanks for reminding me that the black man spoke to a white person about what happened. I hope that if I was that white person, that I would say to the black man, shall we go in together and talk to the woman? And leave the decision up to him. One other thing, I was reminded, we were at a Black Lives Matter event, and I was holding up a sign, and a white guy drove by in a pickup and said, you know, you're white. And I said back, I don't think he heard me. That's why I'm holding this sign. And white people need to hand up in those kinds of situations. And I hope I do next time it happens.
Thank you, Bill. Cindy?
It's a frequent topic or possibility of topic if we live in a real mixed world. But most people in this country live in a mostly white or mostly black. Certainly some contact, but mostly one or the other. Which says to me, one of the most important things we could do toward racial comfort across races is more contact. When you are familiar with people and you understand where they're coming from, black or white, you have more acceptance. And I think it makes life easier on both sides. If we're all in one similar world, the same kind of world, there's a lack of flexibility in dealing with people that are different. So as far as I'm concerned, New Orleans is the most mixed place I've ever lived. And I think that's a strength. And so my neighborhood is a mixture and I like it. I don't want to live in a white world. It's not comfortable when we're traveling now. I haven't seen a brown face in New Hampshire, except like people working, cutting grass, in all honesty. And that's, to me, that's tragic. So we have a long way to go, but baby steps. The next time I deal with someone, I will be more sure what someone said, maybe Amal, about Black men being the least, quote, he didn't say this word, accepted. I think that would be important for me to speak to in my neighborhood, Black men that I know, pass them on the street, make sure I speak. Get past the distance that exists in our world. Enough said. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Rebecca?
It was a really, really good discussion with, many different points about the incident, many important different points and different ways to view the incident. So thank you. Thank you very much for bringing it up.
You're welcome. Did Michelle have, yes.
Yes.
Yes, I have it on the back of the paper. Pedro?
Okay, thank you. So first, I really appreciate Lynn's comments. I also, in closing those comments, also the pain that so many continue to get, that I think Nancy reflected. It hurts to hear that, but it's important to hear that. What occurs to me is just that somebody mentioned how we have to compromise our principles in order to maximize our material income. So if something occurs at work that I should speak out against, I might need to be careful because I don't want to lose my job or compromise my chances of moving forward in the system there or whatever. And I think that's the systemic nature of this problem that's so alienating. It alienates us away from our humanity in order to succeed. And then finally, just I think we sometimes we cannot change the mind of others, but we cannot fix the problems, but at least we got to try, or else we're part of the problem. So thank you for that, and thank you for the conversation today. It was really really powerful discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you, Pedro. Marva?
Good article, good discussion. I hope we can revisit this topic further down the road to see if there are any changes or accomplishments. I'm curious as to whether or not the public schools are holding their Parents Teachers Association meeting every month, because that's where problems like this can be resolved. Thank you.
Thank you, Marva. Beatrice?
Yes, great article and wonderful discussion. I am concerned that people who do not know what critical race theory is, a perspective that is taught in law school about how to structurally look at racism and its effects in the country, that people are using this as an opportunity to have teachers teach less about race in this country. That is very unfortunate, that people are speaking against something that they really know nothing about, but it's a good way of, once again, polarizing us. But it's good discussion. Thank you so much for letting me visit. I enjoy you all. Thank you.
We especially enjoyed you being with us. Thank you, Beatrice. Louise?
Totally agree, Beatrice. That's exactly what they're doing. They're manipulating this, and it's nothing to do with what the real issue is. So yeah, I also, white people definitely need to stand up more, need to step in and do something, say something. I was much younger, I have to say. I'm gonna, give me this. I was much younger, and I will not use violence anymore, but There was once a broken nose involved, yeah, with someone who kept using the N-word, and I warned him. But anyway, yes, I try to use verbal aggression more than physical aggression nowadays. But yes, we all do need to stand up. This has been a great discussion, y'all. This is really a very good discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. Lynetta?
This was a good discussion. And Michelle, I just wanted to let you know, the teachers union is funding their law section. They're putting money on the side because when teachers are brought to court about this critical race theory which is not taught in a first K through 12, that they will be able to defend teachers. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you, Lynetta. Glenn?
Yeah, I just want to return to something I was about to ask Bill, but it's not that it's a complicated subject, but it just that I just couldn't put it in. Just ask a simple question when I got the answer I was looking for, without making a statement. And this is a statement I wanted to make about where the human race comes from the continent of Africa. Yeah, I believe that's where it comes. That would be an ideal place where the climate wasn't frigid and cold, where the first human being didn't have any clothes. Yeah, I think that would be ideal for our beginning. And but I don't think just because Africa now is dominated by Black people, that's the way it was that the people look like that in the beginning, that they were Black people. I think you become a Black person over evolution, millions of years, and your hair changing than any other race. That happens over millions of years of evolution. And if if the Black man was the first one, that's no accomplishment of his own. That's where God made it. It's nothing that we can take credit for, that the first race was a Black race and came from Africa. I don't look for the superiority, try to find superiority in people over another race. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn.
Well said, Glenn.
Greer?
It was a good article. And like this gentleman, he had to calculate what he did. If you think about it, racism is calculating, because they calculate on what they do to us and how we're going to react. There was a young boy who was beaten by, a young Black boy who was beaten by a grown man. He took off his belt and he beat him with it. He calculated that A, he was raised by a single mother, B, no daddy was at home, and C, that the laws would protect them. That's how bad things happen. We have to calculate how we react to what they do to us. This child could have hurt that man, but he didn't fight back because, hey, if I did, when the police showed up, I could possibly be dead. We have to calculate our existence in this world and make choices to be able to move and survive in this world. That's it.
Thank you, Greer. Louise, did you speak, make final remarks?
She did.
Because the screen shifted again.
She did.
All right, Amal.
Yeah, great article. I still, I heard I knew what that next line was in terms of what the excuses were that the man gave as to why he didn't react. But to me, those were the lamest excuses I've ever heard. You're going to sacrifice job security over the sanctity and sanity of your child's well-being. That's weak to me, because your child, that was an example, that was a moment for you to set an example to your child, to show him how a man stands up and defends their child. And even though that child didn't think that he needed to be defended, The father understood that what that little white girl did to him was meant to cut him and to cut him deep. And that was the moment for the child to show, for the father to show defense for his child. And he didn't do that. He took a very weak position, and at a moment when he should have stood up and took a position of strength. So I don't want your job security. It doesn't come before the security and the sanctity of your child. And so that's all I got to say about that. That was a weak stance on his part, though.
All right, thank you, Amal. Some of us in New Orleans heard that thunder. Marva lifted her eyes toward heaven. I don't know if you all heard it, but there was a big rumble of thunder. And I'm looking out the window and it's gotten real dark over here. I'm looking across the street. I want to tell you all a story. I'll try not to drag it out. My dad was the man in this article, and the little black boy was me in 1950. We were at the corner of Basin and Canal to watch a Mardi Gras parade. Well, the Mardi Gras parade came along, and one of the men on the float signaled to me that he was going to throw me a string of beads. So, I'm 9 years old, and I'm all excited. And when the man said, little girl, and pointed to me, and he threw this string of green beads. Well, they fell at my feet. And as I stooped down to pick them up, there were two white men standing to my right. And one said to the other, don't let that little nigger get those beads. And the other man stomped on my hand. And I screamed and I yelled, and I guess I attracted attention because people's eyes got wide. Some people that saw the action, some of the white people backed up. The black people came forward, but there was no violence. My daddy scooped me up. He said, don't cry, baby. He had a white handkerchief. My daddy always had a white handkerchief with him. He wiped my hands off. Now, I was with my sister, and he was holding my younger brother. If I was 9, that meant my brother was 3. So he was holding, oh God in heaven, holding my hand and took us home on the streetcar. I cried all the way home on the South Claiborne streetcar. When we got home, make a long story short, my daddy told my mother the story. My mother said, my children will never go to a Mardi Gras parade as long as I live. I was 9 years old. I did not go back to another Mardi Gras parade until I was 19 years old. My daddy died 4 years after that incident. My mother was very, very, very protective of us. And when my mother said something, she meant it. And I actually sneaked off with a friend at 19 years old, because you didn't defy your mother or father in those days, and went to a Mardi Gras parade. I was gone so long, she was standing on the front porch when I got back, and of course it was late. But I thought because I was 19 years old, I was a woman and I could go to a Mardi Gras parade if I wanted to. So she was very upset, but I was truthful and I told her that I wanted to go to a parade. But that incident has stayed with me all of my life, as you can tell. But Black men are always put in a precarious position. If my dad had attempted to take some kind of aggressive action against that man, I knew later on in life, as I got older, that he would have been killed. As it is, he died 4 years later. But he did what he could do. There were a lot of white people around, and all he could do was just pick me up in his arms, wipe my hand off, and tell me, don't cry, baby, and then snatch us all away from it. We didn't see the rest of the parade. And as I said, my mother vowed we'd never go to another Mardi Gras parade, which I didn't until 10 years later. So it's unfortunate that human beings treat each other in such a way that you can modify someone's life forever, have them make decisions that they ordinarily should not have had to have made in the first place. And this is what happens when you don't treat your fellow human beings like fellow human beings. You're so busy concentrating on their skin color. And Amal, let me say, I did not clamor to be around white people. My daddy worked for the American Sugar Refinery, where his supervisors were white and the employees were Black. And my mother worked as a housekeeper for white people, but she didn't take stuff off of them. And when she became a person who was self-employed, she became a caterer. I, on occasions, had to talk to her customers. And it was one Thanksgiving that I had to watch 3 turkeys roasted in an oven because I had to deliver these turkeys for my mother. And when one of the ladies on St. Charles Avenue called to see when the turkey was going to be ready, I told her, I didn't think I was being rude. I said, Mrs. Jones, when the turkey is ready, I'll deliver the turkey. And I hung up. So the lady called my mother sometime that evening and said, oh, my Georgianne, your daughter certainly is flippant. Well, I didn't think I was flippant. I told the lady when the turkey was ready, I was going to deliver it. So I've never been intimidated by white people because I used to work with my mother. My sister did too. And we had to come in contact with white people because my mother was employed by them as a caterer. But you do what you have to do. And as I said earlier, if you call a Black woman a nigger bitch, we are going to come after you, and you better have some place to run and some place to hide. Because I know since I've been here since the age of the dinosaurs, I am not about to take that foolishness off of anybody. I don't care what your ethnicity is. If you can't acknowledge me as a human being first, and you want to drag my skin color and my gender into it, well, brother, you're going to have hell to pay. Brother or sister, you will have hell to pay because I'm not taking it, never did take it, never will take it. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your comments, your participation, and I'm looking